Welcome to another episode of Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where we educate and inspire the community in the areas of healthy living and quality lifestyle. Today for our first guest we have Mark Corazzo, business consultant and coach, and continuing the series on positive psychology, he's talking to us today about engagement. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Linda.
And what do you mean by engagement?
Well, by engagement, Linda, I mean those sort of activities for which our concentration is totally immersed on a moment-by-moment basis. So whilst we're doing it, we actually feel that time has stopped. Now, they're generally categorised by things for which we have the necessary skills to complete the task, although there is an element of challenge and concentration required. So that's basically what I mean by engagement.
And how would we incorporate that into our daily lives then?
Well, the thing about engagement is that it's more about the process of what we're doing rather than the end result. And there are a lot of things that we do on a daily basis. They can be even routine or mundane tasks for which, if we're clever and think in advance, we can try and do it more efficiently. We can do it in a way where we don't cut corners, but we actually think about what we're doing, and we can actually increase the goal that we're hoping to get at the end of it. So there are ways in which we can increase engagement, but another good method is simply to do things which interest us or excite us. That's an easier way. The thing about engagement, Linda, is unlike positive emotions where we actually experience something, with engagement we normally don't experience any positive emotions or emotions at all, except perhaps some people who get into such a highly flow state they've told us that they experience ecstasy. But for most of us, it's a time of the day where we don't experience any emotions at all.
And Mark, what sort of activities would give us engagement or flow?
A numerous amount, Linda. I mean, the obvious place to start from is work, which can obviously give rise to engagement if we're concentrating on something and it's something for which we are slightly challenged. But lots of activities could provide it. It could be dancing, you could find engagement while you're cooking, you could find engagement whilst you're reading a good book. It's those moments of the day where time stops. And I know people who've even found engagement whilst they're talking to a good friend, having a good, open, searching conversation. So there's many activities in our everyday life that can give rise to engagement.
And what about in the workplace?
Workplace, as I say, it's a classic opportunity for people to get engaged, and I think it's more a case there about making sure that we keep lifting our goals as to what we want to get out of activities, trying to do things better, and not thinking so much of the end state, but really becoming immersed on a moment-by-moment basis in the process of what we're doing.
And so then would that give us more like a sense of well-being or happiness?
Well, definitely.
Along the way?
Definitely the research tends to suggest that people are engaged. Whilst they may not feel positive emotions at the time, it is one of those important elements or pillars of our life, together with other things that we need for overall well-being and happiness. And the other thing to consider about engagement is that it's normally associated with something for which has meaning in our life. We can think of an activity as mundane, but when we look at it as to what it's contributing to our life, it normally has some contribution to meaning or some contribution to social benefit. Also, I like to consider that engagement often, the hobbies that we do or the work that we do often is the catalyst from some of our richest and most rewarding personal relationships. And as we've said here before, relationships are so critically important to well-being in life, Linda. And of course, in the workplace, we've got good evidence that it really benefits the employer to have engaged staff. They're proven to be most productive and they're proven to be less absent so far as sick days. So there's a real incentive, of course, on the other side for the leader and the employer to have engaged staff, Linda.
And would you say then that being engaged or in flow, is that the equivalent of being, people, you've talked about meditation before, can that you can bring that into anything that you're doing?
I suppose there is a connection there, Linda, because one of the things about engagement is because our mind is so intensely occupied by what we're doing, we do not have the mental capacity to think of negatives in our life. And one of the great benefits of meditation is we learn to still our mind. For our mind to stop, we have such busy lives these days, there's so much going on, we want to decrease the chatter. And like meditation, engagement, particularly if it's associated with good, constant breathing, can give us those same qualities. Leisure activities are obviously a very important part of life. Personally, I'm a big advocate for genuine rest and renewal. I think that's really critical for people to get the best performance out of themselves on a regular basis. Curiously though, we actually find that they're more likely to get engagement when they're at work. So despite what people think, they have more moments of genuine engagement at work than they do sometimes in their leisure time. In regard to leisure, Linda, we certainly need our rest and renewal to get high levels of performance. So we should pick activities in our leisure though that give us engagement, for which we have to concentrate. They say when we watch television that we don't always get the level of engagement that we think we do. I think on only about 7 to 8% of occasions that we watch TV we're engaged. So I think the challenge is when you do those activities to find things which you gather information from that is interesting to you, but which you have to concentrate on. That's how we can lift our engagement during leisure times.
And what about some hints or tips for our viewers about how to bring more engagement? Would you have any top tips?
Oh, look, I think try and find something that you do every day, even if it's something that you think is fairly mundane or routine. It may be cooking, it may even be washing up, and try and put a little bit more process into that. Try and do it in a little bit better fashion. Don't think so much of getting it out of the way, but of the fact that you are concentrating in every moment. And I think also with engagement, it's very important to be present, to be in the moment, to be well aware of what's happening to you from time to time.
Thank you, Mark. And for more on Mark Corazzo and engagement and positive psychology, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And if you have any comments, queries or requests, then you can also contact us through our website and leave a message. And now we'll go to break, and we'll be back afterwards with another guest and an interesting topic on health, wellbeing and lifestyle. Welcome back, and now we have Dr. Zara Celik, our integrative health and wellbeing expert, and she's back with us to talk about hormonal health. So Dr. Zara, why is hormonal health important?
Look, how hormonal health is very important because the whole communication in our body happens via our hormones. But today I'd like to focus and talk about female hormones, the whole estrogen and the whole progesterone and testosterone, and why is it important that we must make sure that they are actually balanced and they are in check. And today I'd like to really focus on that very much. I find in my clinical practice, women are not connected with their body and what their body is telling them. And they're not aware of what is happening around their cycle every month. I always tell my clients, us women, we go through 4 seasons in a month. And I normally use a lot of metaphors to explain our body to my clients. Because at every different season, we have different changes occurring in our body. And us women are not aware of it, and I will love people to really connect with the body to understand what it is it's telling us through the symptoms that we may be experiencing. Remember, I've discovered and talked about how symptoms are feedback from our physiology to let us know what is not right in the body. So if a female is experiencing bloating or heavy bleeding or clots, retaining fluid and feeling puffy and can't fit into her clothes, then I want her to really pay attention to see that her physiology is giving feedback to let her know something is not functioning quite right in the body. So rather than masking the symptoms and taking either a pill or ignoring it completely, I will invite and encourage people to question and find the root cause of their symptoms, because as I said, always I say this right in our interviews, symptoms are feedback from your physiology to let you know something is not functioning quite right. So I find when those symptoms are going on, and it could also be relating to people feeling that foggy brain, that could be another symptom, indicating that hormones need some care and love. Foggy brain, feeling sluggish, irritable, snappy, that's a big one. I find females, particularly around ovulation to before their period, they do get snappy, they do get irritable, they cry for no reason. And you know, normally they will be okay, but just that time they can really snap, and it is not them. It doesn't match their personality. So when that happens, I encourage, if anyone's watching or knows someone maybe experiencing those symptoms that I've just mentioned, to really go in and connect with the body and fix it from the source, from the root cause. Because if we don't and we try to mask it, then it's not going to resolve the issue. So for that reason, I encourage women to connect with the body and understand the body and serve and correct what is not right, because we don't want to be having those symptoms and going through that every month and shifting and going through that seasons every month. And then, of course, going into menopause or perimenopause, there will be more challenges along the way. The other thing I would like our viewers to know, period pain is a big one, right? Many women think it is normal. In fact, it is not normal at all. There may be little signs that our cycles are coming when we're actually connected with the body, we know. But most of the time people think, and women that I've actually certainly worked with, it is normal. They think pain is a normal experience. It is not. So if it is painful, if you're missing a day out of your work or your schooling, I look after a lot of young girls, they vomit when they get their period, and they think it is normal, and they always had it. So they always think that's how periods are, but they are not. So the other thing will be, of course, pay attention to what foods you're eating. And in my clinical practice, I take my patients through a stool test, a saliva test, a urine test to really pinpoint and see the levels of hormones. So in my clinical practice, I encourage my patients to pay attention to the physical body. I get them to pay attention to what they're eating, especially between ovulation to until their period, because they may also contribute to symptoms being elevated. That way they get to know their body and they connect with the body. I personally, if I'm working with someone one-to-one, I will do a stool test, I may do a saliva test, I may do a urine test, just to see how estrogen's behaving and their levels are, and then we can correct it from the root cause.
Great. So that's amazing. What would be your absolute top piece of advice then for our viewers before we go to break?
So I would like our viewers to know that if you are experiencing any symptoms related to your female hormones, whether it is the irritability, whether it is the snap, you're crying for no reason, or feeling depressed, or having period pains and cramps and discomfort, or clots, heavy bleeding, please do not ignore them. So connecting with your body and doing what it's telling you to do is where you begin. And also be gentle and kind that you are going through 4 seasons in a month, and you do a journal and take yourself through what you're going through every month, and to get to know your body better, so you are looking and taking care of it as well.
Well, thank you, Dr. Zara.
My pleasure.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and hormonal health, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after break we'll be back with more amazing guests. Welcome back, and our next guest is Kaveri Sequeira, certified health coach and author, and today her topic is sustaining a healthy lifestyle. Welcome back, Kaveri.
Thank you, Linda. Great to be back.
Always good to see you. And today you're talking about sustaining a healthy lifestyle. Now, why is it important to sustain a healthy lifestyle? Bearing in mind, I guess you've talked to us about the human diet.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really important to to sustain that human diet and healthy lifestyle, because you've worked so hard in changing and doing all the things that are required to have that healthy lifestyle. So you obviously want to maintain it. I've seen so many times where people go back to their old habits and behaviors within 3 to 6 months, especially if they've done yo-yo dieting, with the different, just get a crash result. But in 3 to 4 months time, they're back, eating with their old ways of eating and their patterns. Now that doesn't happen when you follow the human diet, simply because you know how to deal with it, and also because the cravings are completely reduced, because we're having natural food and there's not much chemicals, so your body's having a bit of a chance to kind of get that reset and really heal, and you're not having those spikes in blood sugars that's going to cause you to pile on those kilos. And you're eating seasonally, and that helps a lot, as I've talked about before as well, to give your body a break to actually heal. So when I kind of achieved my weight loss goals and my weight transformation following this human diet, what I personally did was join a support group. So I actually joined people who are actually on the same journey as me, and that community feel like made a massive difference. And also just being more, just if you make a mistake and you do something or eat something that you don't want to eat and you feel like you've fallen off track, just get back on track. Don't beat yourself up. That's what we do as well, and that doesn't help being healthy, because you're mentally stressed then. So yeah, that's why it's important, and I can share with you how you could do that.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So that would be my question to you. How can we sustain it moving forward, and bearing in mind that the healthy diet, and also you mentioned the emotional eating aspect.
Absolutely. So how do you do that? As I've already mentioned, join a community of like-minded people, because when you're in community, you have that accountability, and having that accountability really helps. And don't beat yourself up. Like if you've gone off track, recognize it and get back on track. And the emotional hunger is really a big one for us to, like a life event happens and then you like, okay, let me just trigger that behavior. That kind of triggers the behavior to go eat something that you would have had the last time you had that life event. So my suggestion is walk away, go drink a glass of water, do some meditation or deep breathing. That'll actually help you not buckle in and fall off the rails. The other thing is, you decide the person you're going to be. You literally change your mindset around food, and you literally change who you are or identify with. For example, if someone asks me, do I smoke today? I say, I'm not a smoker. That's my identity around smoking. So like for that, you can have that same identity around food. You can say, I don't eat refined sugars. Or you could say, I don't eat dairy in my diet. When you are that person, when you identify with that, then it's very easy to say no to the bad habits coming back in. So when it comes to healthy lifestyle, then why people are so happy that they've have it, and then why do they not follow it all the time? The reason is because there's some sort of life event that's happened that kind of triggers old ways of eating or old behaviors, and they kind of just fall into bad habits again. The other reason is they probably don't have the support network that's kind of required to keep them accountable to maintain that healthy lifestyle. The biggest reason though is that they haven't identified themselves as a person who's like healthy and eats certain types of food, and the identity is not associated 100%, or it's not reinforced 100%, and that's probably why they go back into old ways of eating. So my suggestion for that, I'll cover off in the tips, is how they can actually do that better.
Oh, wonderful. And so from that, then what would your best advice, your top tips for our viewers as a takeaway from today?
Absolutely. So my best tips, if you've already achieved like sustainable weight loss and you're happy with it, and if you're following a very healthy lifestyle already and you're worried that you're going to put on weight, is to make a list. This is a food list of what I do eat, what I don't eat, and I will eat sometimes. Make a list and see, is this something that I want to associate as a person, as an identity of someone who eats, 3 chocolates a day? Or you could just say, I don't eat chocolate. It's your decision, but you are now aware of what is good quality and what is not so good for your health. You get a choice. This is what food freedom is. You make a list of what you associate with something that you're going to eat regularly, something you're not going to eat regularly, and something that you eat sometimes. And that way you are not going below the line. You're not, making a mistake. And if you make a mistake, guess what? Just get back on track, because guilt and shame around this doesn't help us maintain a healthy lifestyle, because healthy lifestyle also includes your mental health and emotional health. And yes, and drink your 7 to 8 glasses of water. Have healthy community around you, and that will certainly make a big difference.
Thank you so much, Kaveri.
Pleasure.
And for more information on Kaveri and sustaining a healthy lifestyle, but then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And for now, we'll say bye-bye and we'll see you next week.